Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kathleen. In today's video I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys my favorite books that I read during the year of 2017. 2017 was a great reading year. I read a total of 66 books, and some of the books that I read became some of my favorite books of all time, which I will mention in this video. But I just look forward to 2018 being the same, where I discover some favorite books. So I have 5 books to share with you guys and one honorable mention. So let's go ahead and get started with the 6 books that I really loved that I read in the year 2017. Alright, so I did rank these, so I'm going to start first with number 5 on my list, and that is the Zodiac by Ramina Russell. Now, I'm not just talking about the first book, Zodiac. I'm talking about the entire series. I think that this is such a fun sci-fi series set in outer space, and in case I don't mention enough on my channel, you don't know what the Zodiac is about and you never heard of it, it is about the 12 Zodiac signs. So you have Virgo, you have Sagittarius, you have Cancer, all the 12 Zodiac signs, and they live peacefully and harmoniously in their own galaxy. Each different signs have their own planets and moons. They have their own people, their own society, their own civilization, their own politics, religion, technology, different animals and marine life. It's so detailed and so cool. The author really took her time to build up each individual sign. Now granted, there are 12 different signs and there are 4 books in this series. Every book we visit a different sign. It's so cool seeing the different worlds. So we have the 12 zodiac signs, and then this 13th sign appears and it's threatening to destroy the other 12 signs. And I just love this story. It is so cool. I really connected with the main character. She is someone who's trying to warn everyone else of this 13th sign that is appearing and wants to destroy the 12 zodiac signs, but no one wants to listen to her, and I appreciate the lengths that she goes through in order to warn people. And there's also a love triangle in this book. However, what I appreciate about this series is that the love triangle does not last very long, but I really think that this is a great series, and I think it's very underappreciated because I don't feel like a lot of people talk about this series, and it's so fun, especially for those of you who really love sci-fi books set in outer space. I will highly recommend this series. Alright, and then coming in at number 4 of my favorite books that I read during the year 2017, it is Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, Maureen Johnson, and Robert Welserman. This is a collection of short stories following Simon, following City of Heavenly Fire. Now, this turns out to be my favorite book in the Shadowhunter Chronicles. Granted, I still have not read Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, or the Bane Chronicles, or the Shadowhunter Codex, but I have read the Mortal Instruments in its entirety and the Infernal Devices series. I read this book immediately after I finished reading City of Heavenly Fire, and I just loved this book. It was so good. All of the short stories connected with one another, and we are following Simon, who actually happens to be my favorite character in the entire of the Shadowhunter Chronicles. And these stories were just so fun, and I really connected with all of the characters, and I especially connected even more with Simon Lewis. And the last story in this book just left me shattered, and I still am not over that last story. This book just pulled out all of the emotions from me. I cried and I laughed and I fell in love, and it's such a great collection of short stories from the Shadowhunter Chronicles. Alright, and then coming in at number 3 of my favorite books of the year 2017 is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Such a beautiful story, and it is following Star, who witnesses her unarmed best friend be shot by a white police officer, and it sparks this anti-cop attitude in her hometown, where a lot of people are seeking justice for her unarmed best friend who died, and are seeking justice against the police officer who shot him. And it's such a beautiful, honestly very well written, beautiful story, and I loved the main character of Star. I really connected with her. Her voice was just so important, and she was just trying to navigate becoming the voice of this revolution for justice for her friend, and not necessarily knowing what to do because she also goes to school in a predominantly white school. So she is trying to balance out her two worlds, where she lives in a black neighborhood but she goes goes to a very predominantly white school. If you guys have not read this book, I would so highly recommend it. It honestly opens your eyes a lot to the Black Lives Matter movement and why it is so important that the Black Lives Matter movement even exists. Alright, so before we get to my top 2 books that I read during the year 2017, I did want to mention my honorable mention, which is a book I didn't expect to impact me as much as it did, and it is What We Saw by Erin Hartzler. So this is a book about rape. So this girl goes to a party and she finds out later one of her childhood friends was raped by a bunch of really popular boys. Basically, the girl comes forward and the entire town is against her. Everyone believes these boys. They believe that they didn't do anything wrong, that everything was consensual. Whatever happened was consensual. It's basically tearing the town apart because obviously this girl is all by herself, accusing these very popular boys of raping her at this party. This is not told from the girl's perspective. It is told from her childhood best friend who attended the party but was not there to witness what actually happened. And this book is absolutely important and it's absolutely beautifully written. It really goes into detail in regards to rape culture and slut shaming and victim blaming and how people tend to ignore the truth because they happen to know the accusers and they happen to believe that they are good boys or they are good people, whatever. I thought Erin Hartzler did a great job portraying rape culture in this book, and I honestly did not expect this book to impact me as much as it did. And if you guys are looking for a very good book in regards to rape culture and how people tend to turn their backs on victim, I will highly recommend this book. Again, trigger warning, there is rape and it is described in this book and it's not in detail, but you clearly know what's happening. Alright, so coming in at number 2, honestly, I had a hard time deciding which one's going to be number 1 and which one's going to be number 2. And so number 2 is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. So I've never read a book by Laini Taylor. She is the author of the Daughter of Smoke and Bones series, and I still haven't read that series. It's hard to explain what this book is about. So we are following Laszlo Strange, who is fascinated with this city called the Weep, and the reason why is because nobody remembers what Weep is like or even existed, and it had this civilization of really interesting people and that disappeared. They haven't been heard from in a really long time, and Laszlo is just really interested in the city and he one day wants to find the city, but instead the city finds him. I know I'm not explaining this correctly. There's so much more to the story than what I just explained. This book is just like blows your mind because it's one thing at one point and then it turns into something completely different the next. Laini Taylor has beautiful prose and she really immerses you in the story with her storytelling, with the way that she writes, and you really become attached to the characters. And there's these blue people in this book. You just connect with them and their dilemma. I don't know how to explain how much I love this book and how much I want everyone to read it so everyone can experience the magic that is this book, because it's so beautiful. And I wish I could explain more about what the story is about, but I can't. I went into this book pretty much blind, and I feel like that's what everyone should be. I will highly recommend it that you get past over the 100 pages, because the first 100 pages, they're a little boring, and it's the reason why this is the only book in my list that has a 4.5, because I did knock off half a star for being very slow in the beginning. But once you get over the past 100 pages, the world opens up and it turns into this intricately beautiful story that you've never read before. It's so unique. Alright, and so the last book on this list is a book that really took me by surprise on how much I loved it. I've had this book for so long on my shelves and I never had any interest in picking up this book, but the reason why I did is because a friend of mine wanted to buddy read this book together because she had to read it for that month, and then I blew through this book. It was so beautiful, and it was An Amber in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. Now this book is about this girl who's a slave to the marshals, and she meets this soldier named Elias, and they kind of connect, and they're now now trying to basically fight the Marshall Society. And I'm not explaining this very well because there's so much more to the story. Just like with Strange the Dreamer, there's so much more to the story than what the brief synopsis that I just said. The characters are so beautiful, and it's honestly one of the reasons why I ended up loving the series so much. And the third book is coming out in June, and I cannot wait for it. This is one of those books that I fell in love with primarily because of the characters. Usually it's a combination of the characters and the plot line, but this was primarily because of the characters. Now the storyline was fantastic and really interesting as well, but for me this was a very character driven book, and it really solidified as to why I loved this book so much. Leia, she's someone who is very weak in the beginning, and by the end of the book she really finds her strength. And Elias is someone who's only, I wouldn't say he's selfish, but he's someone who's more focused on himself and trying to get what he wants, but he opens up his eyes to the world around him, and he becomes someone so much more compassionate to what's going on in the lives of the people around him. Alright guys, so that was all for my top 5 favorite books that I read in the year 2017, plus an honorable mention. Again, I had such a great reading year. I read so much more than I ever have in my entire life, and I hope that I can keep up with it in the year 2018. And I know that the year 2018 is going to bring us some amazing books, and I cannot wait for all of them. Let me know down in the comments below what was your favorite book that you read in the year 2017, because I would really love to know. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. All of my social medias are links down below, including Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads if you like to follow me. I hope to see you guys on my next video. Have a good day guys, and keep reading. Bye.